Today we're going to look at something called the greatest common factor, also known as GCF, for greatest common factor. The greatest common factor is the biggest factor that goes into both of the numbers. Remember, factors are the numbers that multiply together to get a number. So, for example, the factors of 16, well, those are the numbers that multiply to 16. So to get 16, I could multiply 1 times 16. I could do 2 times 8. And I could do 4 times 4. So the factors of 16 are 1, 2, 4, 8, and 16. Now let's find the factors of 20. So the numbers that multiply to give us 20. So that's 1 times 20, 2 times 10, and 4 times 5. When we're trying to find the greatest common factor, we're looking for the biggest number that both of these share. So they both share a 1, they have a 2 in common, they have a 4 in common, and that's it. So out of 1, 2, and 4, which one is the biggest? 4. So for 16 and 20, the greatest common factor is 4. The more you practice this, the more you'll be able to kind of pick these numbers out without having to write down the list every time. When you're writing down the list, you have to make sure to include every single factor, and you only want to include integer factors. So you don't want to use any decimals or fractions here. You're just looking for whole numbers or the negative whole numbers. Let's try another one. Now here I have variables, but we're going to do the same exact thing. First, let's look at 8x squared. Let's just focus on the 8. The numbers that multiply to 8 are 1 times 8 and 2 times 4. Now I also have this x squared. X squared means that I have x times x. Means that I have 2 of them. If I look at 12x to the 4th, the numbers that multiply to 12 are 1 times 12, 2 times 6, and 3 times 4. And then I have x to the 4th. X to the 4th power means that I have 1, 2, 3, 4 x's. So first let's look at the numbers. The numbers that they have in common for the factors, they have a 1 in common, a 2 in common, and a 4 in common. So the biggest number that they have in common is 4. So 4 is the first part of my GCF. Now I also have these x's. I need to figure out how many x's they have in common. Well, this one has 2 x's and this one has 2 x's. So the most amount of x's that they have in common is 2. So that means that x squared is a part of my GCF because they have 2 x's in common, and we learned that x times x is x squared. So 4x squared, the number factor plus the variable factor, is my greatest common factor.